Hi guys and welcome to the Sunderland vs Bradford match review. Apologies it's a little bit later than usual. Let's just say I was a little bit worse for wear on Boxing Day after having a jam butty too many on Christmas Day. So I hope you all did have an amazing Christmas. So I was just... it was a bit of a write-off. It was a shit show yesterday for me. There was not a chance I was getting in front of the camera with the state that I was in. But Sunderland did go on to beat Bradford by 1-0. And before we get into it, what amazing support. And well done to everyone who got themselves down to the Stadium of Light. Just over 46,000 made their way into the Stadium of Light. That's absolutely mad. Of course, Bradford fans played the part as well. But I'll tell you what, just seeing that it was actually almost emotional to see that. I didn't think, even though I knew how many fans would turn up, it was quite an emotional moment to see that, considering obviously everything we've been through. I mean, last season with the shit we got put through, the stadium was never nearly, touching those kind of numbers. So for us to do it in League One, breaking records at the same time, we were the third. It was the third highest attended game in the country, and even more than the Spurs game at Wembley. They were third in the league at the time, now second, and they weren't bringing as much fans as we were. So it was just emotional to see the Stadium Light filled like that for the first time in quite some time. But anyway, it's probably because I was hanging out my arse and I still had some alcohol left in me that I was getting a bit soppy. But yeah, it was just an amazing set. So again, well done to everyone who attended the game. It was absolutely amazing to see. So yeah, we did go on to win by 1-0. We started off the game at 0-9 at right back again, who I'm not even going to leave it till the end. He was my man of the match again. He was absolutely fantastic, 0-9. And a couple of videos ago, match reviews ago, I give him a little bit of stick. Well, not necessarily stick, but I was just saying, I was quite unsure of him. I love his attitude. He's got the most perfect attitude for any footballer. That man, and I always appreciated that. But I was never convinced by his ability at all. But I think Jack Ross has had an absolute stroke of genius. You need to give him some credit as well. To get a central midfielder and chuck him in at right back, you'd have to train him there at least for him to give these kind of performances. And he's been absolutely class. Absolutely class, that lad. So well done to him. I'm really, really happy for him because I know how much he's been desperate to get into the squad and cement a place in the team. It's going to be really hard for the likes of Matthews, who's also had a good season, to get into that right back position when he comes back from injury, because 0-9 he's just been on another level. But yeah, so anyway, we get into the game, and we started off really well. I think we started off really well. Bradford, probably the first team in quite some time, particularly coming to the Stadium Light, who sort of sat back and allowed us possession. That hasn't happened for quite some time. Usually, a lot of teams in this league, they come to the Stadium Light and treat it like it's a cup final. They get right in our faces. They burn energy quickly because they really want to, get stuck into a game at the Stadium Light. And I didn't see that really from Bradford. We were quite comfortable with the ball, playing it around really nicely. We were having attack after attack after attack in the early stages of the game. Anyway, some very decent chances, some really good football being played. Eventually, Mcgeady did put us in the lead. A bit of a scramble in the box. It fell to Mcgeady eventually, and he's lashed it into the bottom right-hand corner, 1-0. And from then on, I thought we should have buried the game. It should have been dead and buried by that point anyway, really. But it hit half-time, come out in the second half, and Bradford did improve. It looked a little bit better because beforehand, they I think they kind of waited for the counter-attack, but because they had so many bodies behind the ball, they'd get it out on the wing, and then they'd have no one, really. They'd have no one in support, really, and we were cancelling them out quite easily. But they did eventually manage to carve out a couple of chances of their own. And probably the biggest talking point in the game was Bradford's goal that was somehow not a goal. I mean, it was absolutely ridiculous. We got basically cut completely open at the back. The shot has gone underneath McLaughlin. It's literally just slowly making its way towards the line, towards the goal. It looks like it was just about to cross the line, or it did cross the line. McLaughlin's threw himself on top of the ball, and he's kind of brought the ball probably just over the line whilst trying to smother it, and then he's brought it out, obviously. And to be fair, his acting skills were incredible. He just kind of ran around with the ball as if with it in his hands, as if nothing had ever happened, and wanted to get on with the game. But you could see it was blatantly over the line, and the ref hasn't given it. Luckily for us, so we did have to ride our luck. I think the biggest sort of issue for me yesterday was our sort of, at times, not our lack of creativity in the final third, but I think we were guilty of trying to walk it into the back of the net at times. You know, we'd managed to get into a really good position on the right wing. We'd have a couple of bodies in the box, you know, just whip it in. But we'd just be playing these triangles around the sort of corner. Do you know what I mean? By the corner flag. And I'm thinking, you know, it's almost as if we're trying to time waste it. And there's 20 minutes, half an hour left of the game. So I think we were guilty of overplaying it a little bit. It did come off for us at times, you know, it did. But it was good to see. And I think, other than that from Bradford, where it nearly did, or it should have been a goal, and it did go over the line, they didn't offer too much of a threat. And it did, in the end, I think it was a relatively comfortable win. Bradford did put on a bit of pressure towards the late stage of the game, but before that, I wasn't worried whatsoever. It was a very solid performance. I think we just need to be a little bit more ruthless in front of goal, because with the chances we did get, that could have easily been 3 or 4-0 by half time. I think we were that dominant. But yeah, so it finished 1-0. 09 again, my man of the match. I'm really looking forward to, and I think I mentioned it in the last game, in the last match review, I'm really looking forward to the transfer window to see what happens there. Apparently, rumour has it that we've already struck a deal with a player, and he will be joining us very early on in the January transfer window, or at least we're in advanced talks with a player. Don't have a clue who that might be. In the comments, let me know where you think we need to strengthen. I mean, a lot of people have been saying a striker, but I'm not too sure whether we'll go down that route now that we do have, obviously, Mcgeady, we have Wyke and Watmore both returning. I'm not too sure whether we will go down that route, although I would like to see another striker. I think someone who, you know, will be able to rival Mcgeady up there. You know, Wyke, he's going to be not the sharpest player after his injury for a while. Watmore's come back from a long-term injury. Sinclair, unfortunately for him, he's not really cutting it. He hasn't really impressed, unfortunately for him. So maybe, you know, adding a striker in there. I think our biggest thing is defensively. We need some real defensive reinforcements, because when either Baldwin or Flanagan, if they're injured or suspended or whatever, to fall back in the likes of Leuven's, it isn't a good look. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? We can't be that reliant. We need to be comfortable in rotating players all over the pitch, and I don't think, you know, the likes of Leuven's, like I say, Ozturk, he's not the greatest either. I probably prefer Ozturk to Leuven's, to be honest with you, purely because he is just a big brick shit house. He wins everything in the air. But either way, I think defensive options are definitely needed in January. But that win does leave us third in the league. We are now 5 points behind top of the table Portsmouth, who did lose by 2-0 thanks to Gillingham's. Thank you, Gillingham. That's an incredible Christmas present. Luton did win, so they're still keeping the pressure on in second place. But we do have 2 games in hand, and we're 5 points away. So now we have a very, very important game on Saturday against Shrewsbury, and then of course Blackpool on New Year's Day, what I can't wait for. Also, let me know in the comments. If you're going to Blackpool, because I will be going there. Obviously, I live in Blackpool, so I can't wait for that day. It's going to be absolutely awesome. I'm doing the overnight shift at work on New Year's Eve, so I finish at 10 o'clock in the morning. I'll probably be absolutely exhausted, but I needed to make sure that I am at that game. So yeah, that'll be the match review, guys. It was a relatively simple one because there weren't really too much going on other than the goal, and it was a relatively straightforward win other than that. So yeah, I hope you have enjoyed, guys. I hope you've all had an amazing Christmas. So if you have enjoyed, please smash the like button for me. It'd be massively appreciated, and subscribe to the channel if you're not already to become a fully fledged member of the Sarny Army. But for now, you take care and stay jamming.